Shame operates differently in the avoidant psyche than in other attachment styles. For months or even years, the avoidant can engage in deeply hurtful behavior without apparent remorse. They devalue, dismiss, ghost, and discard with a coldness that suggests complete emotional detachment. But this is not absence of feeling. It is suppression of feeling. The shame exists beneath the surface, accumulating silently until something triggers its emergence. When that moment arrives, when the avoidant can no longer hide from what they have done, the embarrassment is crushing. Not just regret, but profound mortification at how they behaved, how they treated someone who deserved better, how they revealed the worst parts of themselves, while convinced they were protecting something valuable. If you've seen an avoidant suddenly go quiet after their patterns caught up with them, subscribe to understand the shame spiral happening inside them right now. The mirror they can no longer avoid. Embarrassment requires self-awareness, and self-awareness is exactly what the avoidant has been avoiding. As long as they could rationalize their behavior, frame it as boundary setting or self-protection, they could maintain psychological distance from the harm they caused. But something shifts that rationalization. Maybe they see themselves through someone else's eyes. Maybe they witness similar behavior in another person and recognize their own patterns reflected back. Maybe enough time passes that they can view their actions with something resembling objectivity. Whatever the catalyst, the avoidant suddenly sees what they did with brutal clarity. They ghosted someone who cared about them without explanation. They devalued genuine affection with dismissive cruelty. They made someone feel small and unworthy for the crime of wanting connection. They prioritized their comfort over another person's dignity. This recognition creates a shame so intense that the avoidant wants to disappear. They are embarrassed not just by specific actions, but by who those actions reveal them to be. Someone who hurts people, someone whose fear makes them cruel, someone whose self-protection causes collateral damage they can no longer pretend to be unaware of. The paralysis of delayed accountability. What makes the avoidance embarrassment particularly devastating is its timing. They feel shame not in the moment when apology or repair might be possible, but long after the damage is done and the person has moved on. The avoidant is embarrassed weeks, months, sometimes years after the fact, when their shame serves no constructive purpose. They cannot undo what happened. They cannot retrieve words spoken or repair wounds inflicted. The person they hurt has likely healed and built a life that no longer includes them. So the avoidant sits with their embarrassment in isolation, unable to make amends, unable to demonstrate growth, unable to prove they understand now what they could not. Understand then, this creates a unique torture where the shame is both profound and useless. The avoidant wants to apologize, to explain, to show that they have gained awareness, but reaching out feels selfish. It would serve their need for absolution rather than the other person's need for peace. So they remain silent, drowning in embarrassment they can share with no one, carrying the weight of recognition that came too late to matter. The fantasy of redemption they cannot pursue. The embarrassed avoidant often constructs elaborate fantasies of redemption. They imagine reaching out with the perfect apology, demonstrating how much they have changed, being forgiven and given another chance to prove they are no longer the person who caused harm. But these fantasies rarely materialize into action because the avoidant knows somewhere beneath the fantasy that redemption is not owed to them. The person they hurt does not exist to absolve their shame. That person has their own life now, their own healing journey, their own reasons to keep the door closed. The avoidance embarrassment, while genuine, does not obligate anyone to receive it or respond to it. This creates an impossible situation where the avoidant must live with the shame of their actions without the relief of being forgiven, must carry the embarrassment of who they were without the opportunity to prove who they have become. Some avoidants use this embarrassment as fuel for genuine transformation, working on themselves not to win someone back, but because they are horrified by their own capacity for cruelty. Others allow the embarrassment to harden into bitterness, convincing themselves that their shame is punishment enough and that they are the real victim of their own patterns. But regardless of how they process it, the embarrassment remains. A permanent reminder that fear-driven behavior has real consequences, that emotional unavailability damages real people, and that the moment they finally gained enough self-awareness to be ashamed of their actions was the same moment it became too late to repair them.